Good. All right, good evening, everybody. Could we call this meeting to order, please?
Hey guys, get down here. Oh, yeah.
Who do we have coming down?
Justin and
Okay, good. All right, we will get started here in just about another 30 seconds. I think we have another person coming. All right.
you took the long way.
Hey, Justin.
I wanted to see the whole place. It's my first time here.
Oh, you haven't gotten a tour before?
Oh, we'll give you a tour at the end.
All right, everyone, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Thank you all for coming. Will you all, Marty, Ms.
Yes.
Skiddo, will you take the roll, please?
Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Castillo?
Here.
Ms. Litton? Here. Mr. Reitinger? Ms. Russell? Here. And Mr. Webb?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Will you all join me for the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I entertain a motion about the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, nobody? All right, meeting agenda is adopted as presented. So we'll move on to our first business item, 2.01, the GMP2 presentation. And Dr. Noonan.
Thank you, Vice Chair Anderson. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Really glad to see all of you here tonight. Thank you for coming early. So that gives us an opportunity to roll into our summer retreat following this. This evening, we have a brief presentation for you. Daisy Brangman from Brailsford and Dunleavy is going to be doing a presentation for us talking about GMP2. As you'll recall, some time ago, we did adopt GMP1, which took care of a portion of the construction and the contractual relationship between Gilbane and the school system with respect to that work being done in GMP1, all understanding that we were going to be coming back to complete the construction buyout, construction package, et cetera, as part of GMP2. So tonight is an opportunity really early, sort of, I say really early, earlier in the process for us than we anticipated, actually, to have a chance to look at GMP2. Gilbane has sent it to us for first pass. We had hoped and are feeling fairly confident in sort of what we shared with the board the last time, which was the real heavy lift of some of the negotiation between Gilbane and the school system really happened in GMP1, and we were hoping that GMP2 is just an amendment to the GMP and should go pretty smoothly. So we anticipate that that's the case. We still are within the $120 million amount for the total cost of construction, including soft costs, and feel good about that, and are fairly confident that we'll continue to be within that number after GMP2. So at this time, I'm going to invite Daisy Brangman up, who has a brief presentation to share with you. Hopefully you had a chance to look at some of the materials that were on the admin side. And part of the reason that they were on the admin side is that there are still negotiations going on with Gilbane and their subcontractors. And so we couldn't put all of that out in the public until all of that negotiation is complete. So with that, I'll turn it over to Daisy. Daisy, thanks for being here.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Peter. So we are here to update and do the second portion of the GMP, which is really the balance of the work in order to get the project complete all the way through opening day, January 2021, and completion of site work in August of 2021. So I'm just going to recap for you a little bit here, kind of a little history of where we've been and where we're going. So this is what we've been up to. Probably over the past 4 months, it's been a bit of a whirlwind. The design build team has been busy putting together construction documents while at the same time working with city staff to put together the permit documents. We did receive approval of site plan 1A and 1B because we did it in portions in order to get a foundation to grade permit. We are in the very final administrative stages of getting our building permit, our full building permit approval, and we hope to get that in the next week or two. And also concurrently, while they were doing construction documents, they were been putting together the GMP. So we did GMP1, now we did GMP2. And it came in right where we were looking for it to come in. We're still within the $108 million CCL that's been established in their contract. And also concurrently, they started construction in June, right after groundbreaking. So it's been busy. We've got a big hole. We've started concrete foundations. We're well underway there, and we're right on track with schedule. So this is currently where we are. And this is a bit of a modification from the graphic that you're used to seeing, just to capture the current reality. So this is where we are currently. We've started construction. We've gone through the whole detailed design process. And then this is the monthly report from Gilbane, which gets a little bit hard to read here, but it gives you a snapshot of what we've been up to. This is posted on the project website every month, and it talks about all the progress that we've made with construction over the past 2 months. Like we said, we did groundbreaking, we've done excavation, started concrete footings. We've also installed the temporary path to the field. This is just a reminder of the heavy design engagement that we've done, not just within the FCCPS administrative and Gilbane design team, but also just the outreach. We've done student meetings, staff meetings, interagency, various community meetings. So there's been a lot of community input and feedback, which is why we're comfortable with where we are with the design, the program, and the cost that we're getting, what we're looking for. This is a summary. The project cost hasn't changed. We still have $108 million CCL with Gilbane, $9.3 million soft cost, which is what we call below the line, all of the items that FCCPS is paying for directly, commissioning agent, materials and testing, PM fees, Brailsford and Dunleavy, FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and also the owner contingency, and then the $2.7 million financing and bond cost issuance. To recap, the initial agreement with Gilbane gave them a contract authority of $6.5 million. Then we issued a small amendment in order to carry them through until we approved GMP number 1 for $1.25 million. GMP number 1 was $32.65 million, and it included those early start trades to make sure that we'd be able to maintain the schedule, do submittals and shop drawings, and get things released ahead of time, also to lock in some of the critical pricing like steel. And then GMP number 2 allows us to buy the balance of the project, all our finishes, our envelope, site work, everything else in order to complete it. This is a summary of the schedule for GMP number 2. So we received the construction documents June 21st. FCCPS, Brailsford, and Dunleavy, in conjunction and collaboration with the Gilbane Stantec team, we've been going through reviewing the construction documents, having conversations and feedback, issuing each other comments and responses, just to make sure that the drawings align with what we've asked for in terms of program and requirements. We received GMP number 2 associated with that construction document submission, as well as incorporating a lot of the comments that we had issued. So it really captured a lot. And that was issued just last week on the 15th. We're here presenting to you today, and our goal is that over the next 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to, we've already done, we had meetings this morning where we've done a deep dive and already started kind of scrubbing through. Gilbane has already identified some areas where their number has, they've sharpened their pencil and identified some scope areas where their number has come down even a little bit more. So we're even still seeing savings coming to the table. And we anticipate that there's going to be even a little bit more opportunity to sharpen that, which is great for the schools because it allows us to kind of look at some of those wish list items and start planning for those in the next year as we become more comfortable with spending some of our owner contingency money. So the goal is that over the next three 3 weeks approximately. We're going to finish that deep dive in review and reconciliation. Gilbane is going to be working with their trade contractors, doing best and final conversations, all getting us to September 17th, which is when we'll be back here presenting to you, giving you the recommendation, the updated amendment modification, and ensuring you that all of the trades have been reviewed, all of the packages are complete, and that the project scope is what we want it to be. And that's what we have. Any questions?
I'm going to just add one piece since we've put this page up, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the GMP, but I think it's interesting if nothing else. And that is, I want to thank Sevi Padilla. Yesterday he put up 2 Nest cameras on Maryland Henderson. And so if you go to our website, you can now see a live stream of the construction. So if you go to fccps.org and go to construction, there's camera 1 and camera 2, and you can throughout the day go and not that I do this during the day, but you can go and you can just watch the construction site. And so each day you can kind of check in and see the progress, and it's really kind of a nice opportunity to be able to have that. So I want to thank Sevi for doing that and John Brett for getting it onto our website. But we're really excited to be able to share with you that we're still in budget. We're the trade packages that are coming in that are being negotiated. We see that there may be a little bit of room for some potential cost savings, but we'll have a much better idea of where we stand when we come back to you in September with the actual GMP number.
Yeah. What's very assuring, and it's a very positive place to be right now where the GMP is and where we see it heading, is we don't anticipate any need to modify program, to modify quality of materials or finishes or equipment in the building. Everything is really just making sure. Sometimes you tell one trade contractor, I need you to buy this, and then the other trade contractor is also told to buy the same thing. So then Gilbane identifies, oops, we did a really good job of covering our bases, but now we need to make sure that we're not paying for it twice. So that's really where a lot of the savings is being identified. And so far, nothing is coming out of the program. If anything, we're finding opportunities to see if we can enhance a couple of things.
Well, thank you very much. I want to ask, board members, any comments or questions that you'd like to ask? Ms. Lynn?
In reading through, looking at the whole document, under each section, there looks like things that are assumed to be included and then exclusions. Are there any exclusions you'd say where we weren't expecting that we were going to have to pay for out of a different budget, or is it pretty much as we envisioned it?
There's nothing major that has jumped out at us. I think a lot of the qualifications and exclusions align with what's been in all of the documents that Gilbane has issued, all the way back to their RFP and RFDP. There's a few minor details here and there as kind of scope and program has evolved, but we're in the process of reviewing all that. But there's nothing that's alarming that we're concerned, oh my gosh, this is going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. I think we're in a good place.
I don't want to get into detail because I know it's still under discussion, but there's a section on value management on page 16 that says, and without going into the items, the following value management items are tracked separately and therefore not included in GMP2. I don't know what that means.
So as part of the project, Gilbane basically tracks, here's our baseline. And then as we're having conversations about program and design, we identify, well, we want to have this. Or Gilbane identifies, do you really need that? I'm trying to think of an example that we could discuss.
Well, one of the things that's on the VM log, which we're not going to take as a VE item, is rear projection, for example. You might have seen that on the list. And so Gilbane now has given us their baseline GMP. It includes in there the rear projection, and if we were to take it out, that would be the savings that would be associated with that. We made a decision today that we're not going to take that out. But there are other things on that list that if we get to a point, and it doesn't look like we're going to get there, which is sort of